Today Generation 0 released their most awaited patch, which is the second anniversary patch of a version 3.1, and the rewards that they are actually providing into this anniversary is kind of pretty stacked. If you don't know what kind of rewards that they are actually providing in here, I already make a separate video on it. Go to my channel, you find even there what kind of rewards that you are going to get from this anniversary, and also what kind of character that you should be pick from the selectors that they are actually providing in this anniversary. Yes, if you don't even know, they are already providing us a free limited S-rank character with their signature W engine, which is kind of like a huge. Haven't even seen any mainstream gacha game ever did that. Generation 0 might be the first one to do this kind of like a things, since it is coming from the Hoyoverse. First of all, it can be like a unbelievable, but when you are going to dig up into it, it is actually true that they are providing this much of a stuff into their one of those games. In this patch, they are going to provide us two new characters. The first one is going to be the Remielle, which is of course going to be a Void Hunter. When the Generation 0 celebrate the half anniversary, or you can say the full anniversary, they always provide us a Void Hunter characters, and whenever a Void Hunter characters appear into this game, they don't even follow any of the standard characters of a element types of things. They bring back a new element which you haven't even seen before in this game, and this Void Hunter are going to be a kind of like a broken one. Of course, in a lore wise they are broken, in practical wise they are also a broken one, as well as the meta are going to revolve around them, so they are kind of like a meta creators. So whenever the meta is not even going to revolve around them, they might even have a place if you do have their best slot teammates, or you can say the upcoming best slot teammates with their good amount of mindscape or multiple dupes. That will be the time that your Void Hunter can even shine. So if you really want to invest some other characters, investing on Void Hunter with their multiple dupes is going to be the future proof than any other things. Now, that's not the thing that they are actually providing. Some other new character that they are actually also providing, which is going to be the Sigrid, kind of like Uma Musume version of a Generation 0. If you don't know what I'm trying to say, totally search it on the YouTubes or Googles. You might even find her face. She's way too much similar to the Uma Musume styles. So based on her gameplay, she's similar to our existence character, which is Yanagi, where if you don't even have Yanagi before, getting Yanagi is kind of like easier right now, since they already added Yanagi, Caesar, and also some another character. I totally forgot it. 3 new characters already added into the standard pool. So if you really don't want to lose your 50-50 pools on your Nekomata or some other characters, then losing the 50-50 on Caesar and Yanagi can be a good options for you. Yanagi playstyle, Sigrid playstyle is kind of like a similar. You can consider Sigrid as a Yanagi with a Pro Max versions. Today's video topic is going to be the tier list. It has been a long time since I already make a tier list about the Generation 0 video. Of course, the main reason is that I haven't even played this game since like 3 or 4 months, because the game direction, what they are actually trying to provide in here, especially the end game, is kind of like similar to the Genshin Impact with the Natlan patch. In Natlan patch, if you don't even have a certain characters with a certain reactions, you cannot even break the shield of a certain enemies, and without breaking it, you cannot even do a jack shit damage towards that enemy. And that kind of things are actually happening in Generation 0 things. So getting a full reward with your FTV teammates without your signature weapon, and also some of those like a good amount of mindscape for your certain Void Hunter characters, you might be not even able to get a full clear, and also you might be lose a good amount of currency from there. I know that the amount of pools that are going to miss from that, it is not going to be a huge deal, but as a FTV player, single Primogem kind of like change the game. Anyway, I already have all those things. So today I'm going to talk about that what kind of changes that they actually provided here, and also where our Remielle are going to be placed into this current tier list, especially into these new versions. Of course, new character are going to be better than the previous one. There is no other questions there. And the tier list site that I'm going to choosing, which is going to be the Pyrion.gg. I already told you multiple times in my other videos whenever I do a Pyrion.gg's tier list reactions, is that this is the site which is mostly popular for making this type of tier list for the Generation 0. They are not only making tier list for the Generation 0, they also make tier list for the other rest of the game alongside with Generation 0, such as the Udaringas, HSR, some other 13 games. And their placement, or you can say that their review, what they actually try to provide a certain characters into the initial phase, is kind of like create a controversy between the community of a certain gacha games, whatever they actually covered. So take it as a grain of salt, don't even take it as somewhat of a final decisions. It is totally going to be based on the beta testing. When the characters actually appear in official version, more people are going to try. The more people actually try a certain characters, the more formula are going to become off. If you see a character in a initial phase of a tier 5 or tier 2 or tier 1.5, don't even totally indulge by the first impressions. When the people are actually trying to find a formula, some other characters and also some upcoming characters, that character might not even be the same position before. You might be even see your character with a tier 0. Let's see where our Remielle, which is our new Void Hunter, according to the lore wise, she is considered as a first generation Void Hunter. Let's see how does she actually perform into this current meta. Okay, holy shit, Holy shit! She is considered as a tier 0 as her initial release. Of course, it was tend to be happen. Whenever a Void Hunter appears, that Void Hunter are going to be kind of like a better than the before. And our previous Void Hunter, which I already get from our half anniversary, which is the Yeshungwang, kind of like a 6 months ago. Now, if you do have a Yeshungwang with her best sister teammate, which is consist of a Shuna and also some Zhao, if you don't even have Zhao, just during the banner when they are actually giving us free, I guess getting the deal in with team up with Shuna and also the Yeshungang going to give you a pretty sustainable clears. You might not even really need to do anything at all because Yeshungang damage is way too much good. And when it comes to her Mindscape, man, her Mindscape is the best one compared to any other Void Hunter that exists into this game currently right now, because the dupes that actually provide to her kit, which is going to be the 60% defense ignore, and also so many attacks are going to be increased as well as. So defense ignore on her kit, which is really a support character need to do towards your enemy to deal the main damage dealer to do a huge amount of damage. So she's kind of like all those things as a solo characters, and her playstyle also going to be changed. You might even have the higher amount of skill damage compared to the base version. That's the thing what you are going to provide it. Now that's not the main topic of this video. So Remielle is our new Void Hunter and she's placed as a tier 0. Of course, man, this is the interesting thing to see that. And another character which is totally changed her position from tier 0.5 to tier 0. Of course, she was put into a watch list before that patches. In their leaks, or you can say in their any of those like a web event of a ZZZ official page, they already provided us that what kind of teammate that Remielle is going to be the best in slot, and Velina was there. So people already assume that if you don't even have the Velina, I guess you are not even going to play Remielle with her best effort, or you can say the max output damage. So getting Velina is going to be the best one since she's our first wind character, and when she's actually deploy a tornado types of things, any of those like elements such as it could be ether, it could be pyro, it could be electric, all those elements are going to be infused with her tornado and make a huge amount of damage out of it. So she's kind of like a Venti or any of those like anime character from the Genshin Impact with reaction element based. This is the first character where you can even have the reaction things, and other characters such as the Promia. Yes, she was considered as a tier 0.5 in her previous patch. Of course, despite being her ice damage class, or you can say the ice damage element, she is not even fully ice damage because her things of a damage or reaction that she actually provided towards the enemy is similar to the Velina. So she's kind of like a mix between ice and also some of this like a wind element types of damage. So currently people are considering the best teammate are going to be Remielle and also Velina and also Promia. Some other character also going to be there in future as well as. Let's see other characters from their positions. Burn is also totally move up to tier 1.5 to tier 0.5. Of course, Remielle is one of those characters where she's not even going to be choose as a DPS class. There are some other previous Void Hunter which released like a Wishu one. She's our like a first anniversary character. And other characters such as the Yeshungang and also the Miyabi, these three characters are considered as a DPS class. Now Miyabi, they already put her into a kind of like a sub DPS or anomaly DPS class, but she's not even fully a sub DPS. She's totally going to be deal a huge amount of damage on your team. So when a character do a huge amount of damage, that character considered as a DPS class. So according to those things, Remielle is going to be provided as a sub DPS rather than a full DPS what these three our previous Void Hunter provided to us. What actually she does is going to be played as off-field things and give a huge amount of anomaly proficiency for an anomaly characters. I don't know why the ZZZ developers are pushing the anomaly things are way too much further, and they are actually making us a dedicated Void Hunter who is actually best suited for any of those like an anomaly character. So if you really want to use Miyabi with the Remielle, she's also going to be the good one. And for that reason, since she's also providing a huge amount of anomaly boost, anomaly attack, anomaly defense ignore, if you do have a multiple mindscape or kind of like constellations, other anomaly characters such as the Rina, she's also come back to tier 2 to tier 0.5 currently. And Varnish, when she was released, she was considered as a top tier character, but when the meta is not even revolving around her and also not even favoring her, she was totally dropped down to the dead. And when the Remielle is totally bring back some other anomaly character from the dead just because of she's a dedicated anomaly sub DPS or fully support character, if you really want to play with her just like that, man, damn man. This is the another thing, and it is kind of like a partner type situation. Whenever Remielle is going to down, I guess Barnice is also not even going to have her place where she's actually currently right now. You have to remember that before just totally indulge by it. And let's say other changes such as the Nekomata. Oh my god, damn damn, she's the character who's actually got the huge amount of improvement currently. Their second anniversary live stream, they already provided to us that they're going to have the Nova Flare buff just like the HSR, where some other standard character are going to have good amount of buffs and some of those like a nerfs are going to happen. And Nekomata is the first character where you might not even have to disappoint whenever you're going to lose with Nekomata, because Nekomata mindscape is already been changed. Trying to say here is the constellations on her mindscape 1 is totally changed to her base kit, so you don't even have to get her mindscape 1 to make her kind of like a viable. All of her multiply increase so much that she can even rival between tier 0.5 characters, and with her W engine she is going to be a kind of like a crack standard character that you should not totally miss it out for as a DPS characters if you are lacking a DPS character. For the Grace, she's also move up just like the Barnish one, since Remielle is a anomaly dedicated support character. Some other characters are going to be move up. I guess Jendo might even have her place in tier 0.5 in no time. You have to wait for another patch to make it happen. If the player are making a formula out of her, I guess she might not even require a patch to move her up from this like a current positions. For the Grace, man, getting her buff, as you can see that P6 means sounds like a buff there. The game is actually providing to certain characters. She's also kind of like a crack one, and making a team with the Grace and also Remielle and Velina. This is also kind of like a solid teams that you should not even miss out if you really are lacking of a Promia and also the Arya on your teams. Okay, let's see some other character changes. These two characters totally moved down. Damn, man. Oh my god, Jufufu, man, she was our top tier characters before the Dialin release. She's giving you a periodic types of energy requirement, but for the Dialin she will give you a direct energy or direct ultimate deploy without meeting a restriction. But for the Jufufu case, you have to wait for some of her balls or some of her the kind of like off-field damage to be appear, and after that when it is actually going to be done, your energy recharge or your ultimate is going to be fill up. And basically she's kind of like a good dedicated teammate for your Wish one, which is our first anniversary Void Hunter. So having these two characters on a single team going to give you a good amount of value, but currently these stun characters are doing much more better what the Jufufu actually does. So it is what it is, man. Some of the characters are going to go down, some of the characters are going to go up, and nothing has been changed from the previous positions. And let's see what they actually provided to her for the Remielle's review section case. Okay, she does have good amount of pros and also good amount of cons. It means she's kind of like a balanced character rather than a fully broken characters. Okay, let's move on to our pros. First point is going to be the Void Hunter, who is both incredibly strong and versatile, packing great buffs, trace application and personal damage contribution. Oh my god. So as I already mentioned before, the versatility means that she can be played as a DPS, support or sub DPS, and the buffs that they're actually providing to us, which is going to be 25% of anomaly proficiency, correct me if I'm being wrong, and also giving a defense ignore if she does have a multiple constellation. Anomaly proficiency is another important thing for any of those like anomaly DPS character to have. If they don't even have that, I guess dealing a damage is not going to be good enough, since anomaly proficiency, anomaly mastery is the main thing that the anomaly DPS character really required, and she's the one who is actually going to provide you that much of a things. And aside from the buffing capability, her damage is not even going to be negligible, that you should totally avoid it at first cost. It is the main thing why they are trying to provide her as a versatile and also some of this like other days application. So it means that she can be played as a pseudo stun character. If you are lacking a stun character on the Remielle team, she can be played as a daisy application. Oh my god, this is also a good point that they actually mentioned in here. Let's move on to our next point, which is going to be the Lumiflux and also Luminous. Inheriting elements means she can always have a matching weakness and no matter the enemy, and can get around any resistance. Ooh. So the new element that the game is actually providing to her, which is a Lumiflux and also Luminize, these elements can even have a rainbow types of things. That elements doesn't even care whatever the elements the enemies have. If the elements have a electro, that reaction also going to be provided the huge amount of buff and also damage, since these two elements kind of like a universal elements. From this case, she can even have a brute force types of playstyle rather than a selective playstyle. Damn, man, she's even better than the Miyabi and also some other previous Void Hunters. Okay, let's move on to our next point, which is going to be the surprisingly simple to pick up with a straightforward game plan that makes her be a highly accessible. Oh, so playing with her and also managing with her combo is not even that hard. That's the thing that they are actually trying to mention in here, so you have to buckle up with it. For our last point, which is going to be the kind of baddie, actually definitely a baddie. Okay, of course Pride when they're actually providing a review section. Final point is going to be the joke one. Don't you take it as a seriously. Okay, let's move on to our cons. First point is going to be the ridiculously long animation for her burst and face flow, with anomalies and ally buffs being at a high risk falling off, robbing agents of field time. Yes, when I try to play with her trial versions, I haven't even get her on my main IDs. She is actually taking good amount of times, but if you do know how to do the quick swap playstyle, she can even have a highest amount of field times, and also her buffs can be higher amount of uptime, whatever the games actually consider it as a cons one. And it is totally fair that if you don't even have skills to play with her, I guess this is the thing that you might even face in near future whenever you try to play with her besties or teammates. Okay, let's move on to the next point, which is going to be the limited synergy with most anomaly agents, as Lumiflux does not work like a traditional anomaly and Luminize falls to benefit from many forms of anomaly damage. Okay, as they already mentioned that Lumiflux and also Luminize damage doesn't even care about what the elements certain enemies have, so it can even have the brute force types of playstyle, but when it comes to a total of a buffs capability or damage capability towards some other outside of an anomaly teammate, she does not even have that case. You have to remember that she is a way too much niche role playing, and currently ZZZ is providing a huge amount of anomaly character rather than a crit damage based of defense characters. So I guess this cons does not even revolves around what she does have, but if your account does have lacking a huge amount of anomaly characters, I guess she is going to be have way too much restricted playstyle compared to if you do have a multiple anomaly DPS characters. Okay, let's move on to our next point, which is going to be the highly reliant on her own and other agents signature W engine, as her Void Flare scales with other agents anomalies, demanding the whole teams to be well built. Aside from her total of buffs, she required her signature W engine. Of course, each and every Void Hunter that actually released up until now, those characters really required the signature W engine, but one character does not even require that, which was the Ye Shunguang. She was the first character who can even have her standard signature W engine can even give a similar damage what her signature W engine can even give her. So this is the way too much F2F value what the Ye Shunguang gave us into the kind of like 6 months ago, but currently for her case she really required the signature W engine, and also the Void Flare scales what her actually passive whenever your teammates is totally built on a full of anomaly. Of course, that's the thing she really required. And if your character doesn't even well built, I guess she cannot even have the full amount of anomaly proficiency and cannot even provide the whole of our teammates with a good amount of buffs what she actually does perfectly. That is the reason your teammate really need to be well built before just totally deploying them with a Remielle. Basically, she can give you a huge amount of buff, but in exchange your character does really require a good amount of build to provide a huge amount of buffs towards your whole of our teammates. That's the things that you have to mention. I guess for the last point, I don't want to talk about it. This is also another joke point. So let's see for the team synergies. Of course, they already mentioned some other characters. Jendo can also going to be a good option, since the characters which is going to be consist of a Velina and also the Remielle. This is the two slots that you have to maintain for most of the cases. This Remielle and also Velina combo are kind of like a wheelchair team what the ZZZ are currently trying to provide in here. Any other anomaly character can totally works fine. If you are a lacking character such as the Jendo or somewhat other character, if you don't even pick Jendo from the selectors, getting like a Yanage from your loose 50 loose pool also going to be the good options. And also if you already get the Grace from your beginner wishes and also some of those like selectors, Grace can also be a good options. So you have to remember that you have to put a single characters, because your most of the character are going to be on the field rather than these two characters. These two characters are considered as a kind of like off-field types of playstyle. Okay, for the team one is going to be consist of a premium team, Pomia and also the Velina. Second team, bad one compared to the first one teams, but it is a solid team's pickup. And another team is similar to from the first one team, just totally remove the these three characters and replace with the Jendo. Simple enough. And for the team 4, I guess this is the things that they are trying to mention here. Is going to be a F2P options that most of the people can even acquire from that. And this is going to be consist of a Grace. Piper is a 4-star character and solid pick for the anomaly DPS if you are lacking a 5-star anomaly DPS from your accounts. I guess this kind of like a normal thing that you really need to know. So I guess there is nothing to be discussed around in here. I already discussed most of the important parts what is actually currently going on into this current meta. If you do have any of this like a question on her regarding initial position into this current meta, totally let me know in the comment section, and wait for the next video. Up until then, peace.